Hello, I'm Dan Yergin, and I want to welcome you to CERAWeek Conversations presented by IHS Markit. Today, we're very pleased to be talking with the Honorable Dharmendra Pradhan, who's Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas in India and Minister of Steel. It's very timely that we're speaking with the Minister today because India is starting to come out of its lockout. And in addition, it's also auspicious because today is the 4th anniversary of the launch of Prime Minister Modi's signature LPG project that brings commercial energy and clean energy to tens and tens of millions of people in villages all across India. Honorable Minister, it's a pleasure to be talking with you, and welcome to this CERAWeek conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Yergin.
Let me begin. You were mentioning before we started about getting the LPG to the villages in India. That's such an urgent problem. Tell us what you've been doing to address the issue of the needs of the people across the country.
Dr. Yergin, India is a big consumer of petroleum product, but unfortunately, due to a 6-week lockdown, we're in the nearing end of the 6-week lockdown, there are around 60 to 70% demand loss in petrol and MS and HSD. But contrast to that, there's a growth in LPG demand, and India has a 280 million LPG consumers. Out of that, 80 million consumers belong to poorest of the poor group. From today, 4 years back, on this day, we have launched the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, the ambitious welfare scheme of Prime Minister Modi, provide free LPG connection to the bottom of the pyramid group. Today, that scheme became an instrument of new welfare responsibility. Prime Minister Modi decided to give 3 free LPG cylinder in this juncture to the poorest of the poor group. That upper to the normal consumer, every day our public sector petroleum company are distributing 5 million LPG cylinder every day in the different part of country. Petroleum is an essential product, essential service. We're continuing to extend that service at this difficult time to different critical zone, different state. We have to maintain the supply chain. We have to import little bit more. We're maintaining that.
Let me ask you, how difficult has it been logistically to make that happen, to get that organized and get the supply chains to work?
So in this total lockdown period, this is a very stupendous job. But I am thankful to my colleague in petroleum companies, starting from CEO to last mile delivery boy. All are aligned in one mission. We are in a national mission mode. More than lakhs people are engaged in this distribution network. We have to maintain the personal safety. We have to maintain the community safety. We have to be alert. Anytime, everywhere, people expect LPG. We have to supply that. We have to fulfill the expectation of consumers. And there is no major grievance, major complaint. And we have to door deliver that. We have to give door delivery in the remotest part of the country.
Extraordinary achievement to be able to do that and to do it, as you say, during a total lockdown. Let me ask from that then, the overall, in this period of lockdown, what is the state of the Indian oil and gas industry in terms of responding?
It is very challenging, very difficult. As I said, there are around in HSD, there are 60% demand cut, and in MS, more than 65% demand cut are there. In ATF, it is almost 90%, 92% demand cut are there as in today. But since last few weeks back, we decided to start our economic activities, the transportation activities, the industrial activities in the rural area of the countryside of the India. And gradually we are phasing out, we are exiting from the lockdown. Our demand is picking up, but it's very, very difficult to maintain the refinery coker, entire value chain. And as you will be appreciate, our refiners are face severe inventory loss because all our purchase of February, March, and April price, they are not what it is today. So we have to pay the old price. So it's a double burden. There is a market loss and there is an inventory loss for our oil companies.
So have they continued to be able to operate in terms of maintaining refineries during this period, or have they been mostly shut down or reduced? How have they responded?
Dr. Yergin, I will be happy to share one information with you. None of our refinery, except some small refinery, they prepone their plant, shut down little bit. Otherwise, no major refinery in country of any company, in public sector or private sector, they have to shut down. They all are running. They are little bit slow. They are little bit modest in their operation, but all of them are functional. All of them are doing business.
So as the lockdown is beginning to ease, you are seeing a start to some increase in terms of demand by the consumers?
Yes, that is the primary indication. Since last 2 weeks, there is a gradual increase in the demand. Very slow, very little bit. But we are confident by mid of the May, we will be moving towards the normal position. That is our calculation. That is our presumption. India is going to the growth center of demand.
Right. Do you, this is more of a philosophical question. India, of course, has been a country of major growth in energy demand, oil and gas. Do you think demand will return to the level that it was before? Do you have any sense of how long it will take or how demand will change because people's lives will change?
There will be a demand loss. There will be demand loss. Already there is a demand loss. But gradually, the way India is untouched of this global pandemic, thanks to the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Modi for the early decision and quick decision for this lockdown, though we have economic cost of this lockdown, but Prime Minister Modi could focus the human aspect of this crisis, and we all are confident the agricultural activities will on after this monsoon. The entire business activities are gradually coming back to their own speed. Yes, there is a slowdown, but they will be picking up. Our federal bank has liberalized its policy in so many dimensions. We are lending cooperation to our entrepreneur, our industrialists, and certain more things will come up in near future. And on looking into all such things, I am expecting a demand growth at early stage. We will not face a major problem to maintain our target, maintain our plan, what we have decided in the beginning of the financial year for 2021.
So the commitment to natural gas, that continues to be a major focus for you as well.
It will continue, Dr. Yergin. You will appreciate we are going for major gas reform, what we have promised to the promised in our budget. We are moving towards a new gas policy, new tariff policy. We are planning for a gas exchange very soon, and will be liberalize our distribution mechanism in more progressive way. And our all CGD work. Now, India's 400 districts are covered with city gas distribution network. We are very much focused just after over this relaxed lockdown. We will be very much on the job of implementing the CGD network expansion. It will give two things. One, it will create a long-term futuristic energy infrastructure in the majority part of the country. And number two, at this juncture, we need more job opportunity, more employment generation scheme, and this is very perfect plan by our gas expansion story.
So that means that you will continue to have your focus both on domestic development of domestic gas resources and also, of course, continuing to be a significant importer of LNG.
Dr. Yergin, recently I had a very fruitful discussion with a lot of my counterparts, a lot of my experienced colleagues of the different energy minister of the different country, starting from Excellency Dan Bruitt to Royal Highness Abdul Aziz, and my dear friend, Excellency Dr. Sultan Java, and CEO like I talked to some important CEOs of the oil industry and energy industry. I am happily sharing this information with you. We have not cancelled any major long-term contract of energy with any of our supplier, whether it is crude oil or whether it is LNG. We have to defer some movement of the cargo a little bit, but we have not cancelled any of our booking, long-term booking. Yes, we have deferred the spot bookings. We have to readjust them, but we have not deferred anything, especially in oil and gas.
So you mentioned the G20 ministers and your conversations with them, and of course it's been very, the month of April was very dramatic in terms of oil market developments. I'd be very interested in your perspective as one of the world's largest consumers of oil, about how you saw the G20 and the whole discussions between the producers and consumers to try and balance the market to this dramatic drop in demand.
Dr. Yergin, two things happened in mid of the April. One is OPEC Plus meeting, and preceding to that, the G20 energy meeting. These are two important events in the energy world, has given some clarity, some futuristic indication for energy industry of the globe. It's a very welcome move of this OPEC decision and supported by some major non-OPEC producer like USA and Mexico and Norway. They all have in one tune. We have to have a reasonable price. Though India is a major consumer, with that background, I am telling, sometime for consumers, the lowest oil price is good. But at this juncture, India's viewpoint is price should be reasonable and responsible. Low price is not the answer. Low price is not the answer. Reasonable price is the answer. Price should give some space to the producing country. It should be profitable for them. It should be viable for them. And OPEC has taken a right decision with this production cut and some additional promise of additional production cut. But let us see the way there is a fall of demand due to lockdown. This you are an authority of energy in the world, but I think it's a wonder. It's a wonder. It's an unusual thing for all of us. This kind of production fall, the demand fall, is unheard of, unusual. And we all are facing that problem. With this kind of OPEC's production cut, we are still there, the revival of price is yet to be come up. With this background, the G20 meeting was a fruitful initiative. All the major stakeholders, whether they are producer or consumer, we all come together to place. We must have a sustainable roadmap for continuous energy supply. Energy security at this juncture is the primary requirement. We all have to work together. We have to be responsible, whether they are producer, whether they are consumer. We have to be responsible and carry forward this historic responsibility we all have thrust upon to continue the energy ecosystem in the globe.
As you say, this was a very historic decision to do this, bringing all these countries together. The voice of India was very important in that. When you look at it now, I mean, could you have imagined that there would be this kind of agreement among producers and consumers in the G20 and OPEC? And Was this imaginable before it happened?
We have to be open. We have to open to the new ideas. We have to come together. I am working in the energy field since last 6 years, Dr. Yergin, but never I saw a unanimity of this kind, whether it is America, whether it is Russia, whether it is Saudi Arabia, whether it is Brazil, whether it is Russia, whether China and India or Japan. We all are at one point. Energy has to be there in sustainable manner, and there should be energy security. For energy security, the price is an important factor. The low price is not the answer. The maximum price is also not the reality at this juncture. So we have to be reasonable, and there is a unanimity on this aspect.
One part of this question that is obviously in the last few weeks has become a very big issue is storage. Because obviously the cuts only take care of part of the oversupply. Can you tell us a little bit about what the storage situation is in India and what kind of capacity you have for storage?
India has a 5.3 million metric ton storage capacity as a strategic cavern, strategic storage facility. By mid of the May, we will be fill up all the storage facility in India. That apart, our company has put around 7 million metric ton of floating oil in the different part of their contract. This 7 million ton floating oil are there with India. We have booked them, we have purchased them. That apart, with our domestic online capacity in crude oil form or in the product form, we have a storage of around 25 million metric ton. Putting together, we have around nearly 38 million metric ton product and crude oil storage facility we have today. That's on our hand. This is around 18% of our annual requirement of energy. And this is the maximum capacity we could have hold, and we are holding that.
Well, if we look beyond the current crisis, as difficult and traumatic as it has been, obviously, as you say, there will be recovery, demand will recover, and the focus will be what the Prime Minister Modi has continually referred to, which is import reduction. Can you say something, looking beyond the crisis, what you see happening in terms of international companies participating in India's upstream, and what kind of plans or thinking you have?
Dr. Yergin, I'm a keen observer of global energy business. I have observed recently lot of oil majors are announced the shutdown of some major projects in the other part of the world. My primary understanding is the new energy business after this crisis will be, wherever market will be there, the supply chain will come to that point. My understanding of supply chain is monetizing the domestic available resource also. And India is a net, we have some resource. We have opened up through policy reform our domestic sector. And I am confident recently some of the oil majors of the globe, BP is already in the Indian market. ExxonMobil, SAIL, Total, they all are in the pipeline in the different form of Indian energy business. And some of our domestic majors like Reliance and Vedanta Resource, they all are bullish also. And I am confident when there will be a surge in the demand, domestic production will get priority, and we are expecting good amount of investment in that area due to our progressive policy, open up policy. Lot of ease of doing business, we are putting red carpet to our investors. That apart, there will be a continuous growth of Indian requirement. That will be the primary incentive to the energy entrepreneur of the globe to look into the India's market.
So you do certainly expect to encourage and to have more international investment in India.
We are pursuing for that.
Tell us a little bit about the morale in the energy industry as it's dealt with this crisis, and among just the leaders and the workers as you talk to them?
I'm grateful to my colleagues in the entire value chain in this present crisis since last 1.5 months, when the entire country is under, why country, entire globe is standstill. The energy shoulder, I can say, in a different part of globe, and especially in our country, they all are active. There is no disruption in supply chain, though there is a huge fall down in the demand. But with that also, and with there is a physical lockdown, lockdown is a physical challenge. With all such thing, everywhere the energy worker, energy shoulder, I can say, they are playing important role. They all are very active. They all are very fearless. My people are working in the high sea, in the offshore field, and they have not come to house since last 1 month. They are committed. They're supposed to come back after 15 days. But more than 1 month, they're staying in the platforms. As I said in the beginning, we are delivering LPG in the red zone. When a pandemic is at peak, and the red zone means in India, the contaminated zone. In that area, our LPG delivery boy is delivering LPG to the household. If I see, and this kind of initiative, this kind of activism in our industry, I'm very proud of our energy industry of the globe. With this kind of challenge, when people are very, very afraid of their life, they're afraid of their safety, and our activities on, and our people are on road. Their job is commendable.
That commitment and dedication and personal engagement by the Indian industry is very impressive, and is a great credit to the industry, as you say, in very difficult circumstances. Maybe I could just ask you one or two other questions. One is, I understand that one of your responsibilities too is ensuring that the supply chains work. And maybe you might say a little bit about your work on the supply chains.
In India, we have very much, from the very beginning, Prime Minister Modi is hands-on in monitoring all such situations. He has assigned specific job to the specific executive, specific minister, who will look after what. And I am in charge of, apart from my responsibility of supplying the petroleum product, I am also coordinating with the different part of the country to the smooth movement of transportation network, carrying the food grains, carrying the essential commodity, the medical equipments. And I'll again say, with this kind of scenario, our workers are very enthusiastic, workers are very responsibility, they fulfill their job with full responsibility, and there is a seamless transportation network.
One of your other responsibilities, of course, is the steel industry as well. May I just ask you how that industry has done during this crisis?
Again, I can say, with all this difficult situation, all the major steel plants are, all the blast furnaces are on. There is a continuous production line. You don't have to shut down the blast furnaces, shut down the arc furnaces. They all are working. But there is a low demand. There is a stockpile is increasing. But the way we are planning for the future roadmap, lot of roads, lot of railway activities, lot of infrastructure plan we are on the roadmap. In all these areas, steel will be required, and I am hopeful there will be demand on steel also. And in India, there is advantage. We are one of the cheapest steel producer as in today in the globe, due to our availability of raw material in India and availability of low-cost manpower in India.
Honorable Minister, it's been a great pleasure talking to you today for CERAWeek Conversation, and we very much appreciate the chance to discuss with you both the specifics of ensuring that the poorest people in India have LPG and access to energy, the commitment of the Indian energy industry continuing to deliver in this very difficult lockdown period. And certainly, we want to congratulate you on your leadership in this extraordinary time. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for this conversation with the Honorable Minister Dharmendra Pradhan of India.
Thank you, Dr. Yergin. Thank you to your team.